This is Rachel Dworkin from the Chemung County Historical Society. Today is September 2nd, 2020. I'm here at the Erin Town Hall speaking with
Daniel Delorme, Deputy Supervisor for the Town of Erin.
Okay, so this is for the COVID Memory Project, so I'm going to ask you to tell me a little bit about how COVID has impacted the town of Erin.
Well, I think the biggest impact of COVID is on our school-age children, because when you try to go to remote learning but don't have true broadband internet access, there's no way to keep up with what the school's putting out. So even if you want to go 100% learning, there's no way to. If you want to go hybrid learning, which means you go to school 2 days a week, you're home 3 days a week, you don't have broadband internet access. Those things aren't even an option. So with COVID and not having broadband internet access, to be honest, attending public school really isn't an option.
What kind of internet access does exist in Erin? Like, have you done a survey to find out who has what?
Yes, we did a survey with Chemung County several years ago, and I believe that's still posted on their website. I think it's time for us to do another one because we've had a lot of build out by Spectrum since then. So over the last 2 years, quite a few of our residents, including myself, have now access to true high-speed / broadband internet access. So for me personally, I had to teach. I was a physics teacher until 8 weeks ago, and I was lucky. I got high-speed internet access probably 3 months before we were sent home to quarantine. So without that, I couldn't have held classes or anything else. And then I knew specific students that lived in this town that could not get online with me. So really right now the major part of COVID impact is on our students.
Okay. So what kind of internet do most people have, if any?
If they have anything, all right, so we have an expanding number of people with high-speed internet access. We have people with the the jetpacks from Verizon or AT&T or something that sits in the window and blinks. And that's wonderful, but you might get 15 or 20 gigabytes a month, and you're going to go through that in a day and a half. When that's gone, you've got 28 days left in that month where you'd be lucky to open an email. So, again, if you've got that, that's your internet access. You do have this portal to the outside world, but it's very limited. And the same goes with satellite connections, which is HughesNet. And I've never talked to anyone who was happy with that. Because it's just like the jetpack. Extremely limited data used for the month. Great for 2 days. Useless for 28.
What about like DSL? Is anyone still on that?
That's not really. I've not heard that as I don't know anyone that's using that. I'm not saying it's not available. I've never heard of that as an option. No one's come to us in a survey and said, I use DSL.
Okay.
So
it's impacted students. Has it impacted, are there a lot of people working from home here, or is it mostly just kids who are trying to get online?
Oh no, there are people that, are trying to work from home and, because they have to. I mean, they've been told, like myself, go home and you're not coming back, for months. So, yeah, it does affect people like that as well. Absolutely.
Okay. So what is the town doing anything to help with these issues?
Sure. So we did the big survey a few years ago to find out where there was not good internet access. We've worked with Spectrum to push out the build out, and the states push Spectrum to work with us to build out broadband access. We've got I just got a list yesterday of addresses of students that, not names, but just streets, and not even house numbers, just streets, where people have indicated they do not have broadband access. We are working with 2 or 3 other communications firms that have said they would be willing to come into the town and provide that access if we can bundle that data that I just got literally yesterday. So I think we're going to be on the move. My personal goal, as a former educator, I hate saying former, but as a former educator, is that with so many people that seem to be opting for homeschooling because they just literally cannot participate in remote learning with the school district, I would like to get access to them so that if they want to participate in remote learning, they can. I know I've gone a little astray from your question, okay, about what are we doing, but so that's one of the things we're doing is you got to identify where is the need. Mm-hmm. You can't do anything without knowing where the need is. So we just kind of locked some of that in yesterday. So that's in play. We're working with the Community Foundation, which you probably know who they are, and we're working with Southern Tier Network. And so they've got people that are that are full-time employees, and they're going to take the data I forwarded to them from the school district, and I'm going to let them run with it. As a town, I'm talking with the supervisor about whether or not we need to do just an internal, not a countywide, just an internal town survey, a quick couple weeks, let us know, and then we can direct those resources to those areas, because I don't think the data is complete. If you're not signing up for school, you're not going in and saying I don't have internet access. You're just not even signing up for school. So how many people are out there that don't have access, that went to homeschooling, so they're not stopping by the school and filling out a form? Oh, I don't have internet access, but I want my kid to participate in remote learning. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So we have data, and it's been sent on to people with the resources to deal with it.
So what are the 3 companies that you said you're working with?
Well, what I said was the 3 companies.
Yeah, you mentioned that there were communications companies that wanted to come in and help.
I'm not sure they want to be known yet.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
You know what I mean? It's just like Spectrum won't give us their build-out plan and tell us where they are. At this stage of the game, I can probably say, and I will, Plexicom is a company that puts up towers, and they're pretty cheap. And we're looking at what we've extended to these companies, especially a company like Plexicom that wants to put towers up, is we have a number of well pads left over from the Trenton Black River days and all that. That was the geological formation they were drilling into. So we have a number of well pads that are nice and flat, have access roads, and sometimes electricity to them. So if you're a company interested in building a tower for telecommunications, half your job's done. So that's one of the other companies that we're kind of working with. And they asked me for the same student data so they knew where to go. And again, I just got that yesterday.
So how has COVID impacted the town economically? I imagine is there less?
We really don't have any businesses in town other than like an auto repair shop and things like that. But we don't have stores. We don't have we have an Airbnb with, I don't know what their occupancy rate is or has been in the past, so I can't speak to that. But generally, this is kind of a bedroom community. People live out here, go somewhere else to go to work. We still have some farmers. So economically, I can't really speak to the impact.
Okay.
I just, like sales tax revenue, we don't have, we don't have anything out here that would really generate that.
Oh,
so.
Okay. And you haven't really had any COVID expenses to speak of, would you say?
Not major. I mean, just we've had, we've been given masks by the government. We've delivered a good number of them to our residents and things like that. But expenses, I really don't think so. I mean, literally, the only thing I can think of is, just setting up like Zoom accounts for our town hall meetings. I mean, if you would have told me a year ago we'd have a laptop sitting on the front desk with the board members and 10 people on screen participating in the public session, and they're watching the entire interaction of board meeting, and they may have never come to a board meeting before. So in a good way, that's kind of increased the ability of people, especially seniors that can't travel easily or the weather's horrible. So it kind of has increased, I would say, participation in, what we do here at Town Hall.
Okay.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you were a physics teacher.
Yes.
Have you recently retired?
Yes.
So were you teaching during this?
Yes.
So
for 3 months.
How did that go for you? Had you ever done any kind of online teaching before? What was the learning curve like?
Well, the biggest learning curve was it was a few things. I wasn't, first of all, I had never done it before. Okay, I'm not sure anyone had done it before. So we had to set up our classes. We had to online and all these things, and we had to do Microsoft Teams if you were in the high school. And to be honest, I tried to keep the schedule going, but as I went along, kids kind of just fell off the map. And some kids I knew didn't have access. So you posted office hours. Kids could come on and ask questions and things like that. But it's nothing like my experience was it's nothing like being in person. But again, it was a total shock to me when on a Friday we were told Monday's the last day and we're all going home. Grab a laptop. So there just wasn't a lot of notice. So it was chaotic. I think the best word is it was chaotic. It was not. No one got out of it what they would normally would. This fall is different. I'm still working for the district in another capacity, and so I see what they're doing and have done for professional development and everything to get teachers ready to be able to effectively engage with their students.
So that's the Horsehead School District?
That's Horseheads, yeah.
Okay.
Horseheads is pouring a lot of resources into making this fall go well and go correctly. So.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add, either about your experience with COVID at the schools, or the town, or even your personal life?
Well, I think with COVID, I mean, one thing I would say all across the board is I am glad I never thought we'll edit this out. I wasn't sure I'd ever say I'm glad to live in New York, but I am glad to live in New York with the low COVID rate that we have, the amount of testing available to us. And I think that, I hope that will lead to a successful reopening of the schools. Mm-hmm. Because I'd really hate to see everyone go back into quarantine. I just don't think that's healthy for people. So for me personally, living out here with a couple 100 acres and no neighbors, what it changed for me was going to work every day, seeing students every day. But in terms of life at home, it didn't really change anything.
Okay.
Now, one more thing I'd like to add with this is, again, going back to the internet situation out here in this town, we have seniors. So everyone is focused on school-age students, and that's where the money is, mm-hmm. right? I mean, that's where the money coming down from the government is focused. It's on kids to do remote learning, to eliminate what's called the homework gap. But we have seniors that have to get up, drive to the Medicare office, wherever that is, and turn in their flash drive of information showing they've used their equipment for the last month because they don't have internet access. If they had working internet access, they wouldn't have to make that drive. And if they're making that drive in January, it could be a really dangerous drive. So we don't want to forget the other residents of our town as we, focus. The focus is on school-age children, and rightly so, as we get ready to go back to school. But there are other people that need it as well.
So would you say that this whole thing has sort of shown that the internet should be like a utility?
100%. I mean, you go back to the 30s and you have the REA, right? Rural Electrification Act. Everyone gets a light bulb. Everybody gets an outlet. I don't know anyone that thinks that was a bad idea. So I think this is exactly what it should be. It should be a utility. Everyone should have access to it. It's not that hard to... How do I say this? The government collects fees every month for, on your phone bill or your internet service and my internet service, and there's no reason that shouldn't be plowed back into expanding the network. My wife and I have a place in the Adirondacks. 20 years ago, there's only 4 people in 2 miles. 20 years ago, we got cable TV, and then later high-speed internet. we're in the middle of the Adirondacks. But the town charter or the county charter said that X number of your percent, X percent of your profit, you have to spend expanding the network. So there's lots of ways to go about it. But yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that statement. And if COVID-19 doesn't convince people that, really nothing will.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you very much
You're welcome.
for speaking with me.
You're welcome.